Hey everyone, it's Rajiv and welcome to my channel Rajiv's Reviews. In this video, I'm going to be giving my book review of the first book in the Kalki trilogy called Dharmayoddha Kalki, the Avatar of Vishnu by Kevin Missal. Before I get into the review, I would like to give a brief synopsis of the plot. Now, I'm not going to give the complete details as to what happens because there are a lot of things that happen in this book. But just to give you a gist, the story is about this man named Kalki who resides in this place called Shambala with his parents and his brother Arjun. He is in love with this girl named Lakshmi, and one day he finds out that his dad has been kidnapped by this tribe called the Mlekas. So Kalki teams up with Lakshmi and Arjun and his friend Bala in saving his father, and on the way he meets this man named Kripa who basically tells him that there is this big war that is going to take place between the Dharma and the Adharma, which is basically the good versus the evil, and how Kalki plays a bigger part in this whole role. Now, while all of this is going on, there is another story taking place about this man named Kali, who is this young commander, and he has defeated Lord Vedanta in order to seize Indragarh. However, as soon as Kali starts controlling over Indragarh, which is the capital where the story takes place, he soon starts falling ill. So his sister Durukti hears about this cure called the Soma, which is the substance which resides in the caves of Shambala. So she decides to go to Shambala in order to retrieve the Soma substance so that she can save Kali. In between all of this, we also have some supporting characters like Kripa and Padma and Manasa and Arjun, who also have their own subplots which are very interesting, and it complements very well to the main arc of the story. Now, to be honest, this is the third time that I'm actually picking up this book to read, because the first two times when I started reading it and when I completed a few chapters, I just found it so difficult to understand what was happening, and the plot just sounded so unbelievable that I just could not connect to it. I mean, we are just thrown into the storyline and we are introduced to these characters like Kali and Coco and Vikoko and Vasuki and Vedanta. And there's just so much stuff happening, and there's no formal introduction to the characters that I really did not know what was happening. And the first few chapters where the war happens between Kali and Vedanta are just so unbelievable, because you have horses which are disguised as elephants, which I don't even see how that would work. And you also have like bulls with fire on their heads, which, I mean, I don't know, it just seemed very far-fetched and I thought it was ridiculous. But before you guys start hating on me, once I actually picked up this book for the third time and I forced myself to get past those pages, and once we actually start getting introduced to Kalki and his life story and the whole battle of Shambhala, I started loving this book. The first half of the book slowly sets the pace as to what is going on for the ultimate battle that we can expect between the Dharma and the Adharma. I think I really got invested in the storyline once Kripa tells Kalki who he really is when he is battling with the Mlekas, and how Durukti falls into the picture, and how all these other side characters are introduced, which made the story so gripping to read. Another thing which I really thought worked well for this book was the length of the chapters. I loved the creative idea that the author came up with, where the whole book is actually like 80 or so chapters, which you would think, oh my god, it's so much to read. But each chapter is only a few pages long, and each chapter alternates between different characters and different plots. So you're always on your toes, and the plot never gets boring, because as soon as you think that it's starting to get boring, the author just ends the chapter with a cliffhanger and he moves on to the next chapter with another character. So I never really felt like the story was dragging in any way, because each chapter was very short and it was so interesting, and it ended in a cliffhanger where you just wanted to find out what happened next. I think one of my favorite scenes, which I don't think I will ever forget, is when Kalki is about to be executed and something happens and someone comes to rescue him in this very grand manner, which was just, I thought, was such an amazing moment in the story. Coming to the characters now, while I know Kalki is the main character of the story because the book is named after him, I actually found all the supporting characters surrounding him to be much more interesting than Kalki. I mean, there are just some scenes where it is so hard to connect with him because he seems so immature, and you really cannot picture him as the hero type because a death just happened in his family and he's just mourning in one scene, but in the next minute he is kissing his girlfriend or he wants to kiss Lakshmi, which I thought was ridiculous. Thank goodness there are other characters who I really liked, which made this book really memorable. Firstly, I loved the character of Durukti and the lengths that she goes through to save her brother. I also loved how evil Kali becomes once he starts getting better from the cure, and how we slowly start to see him go crazy with the power that he gains. Padma is also a very interesting character, and I cannot wait to find out what happens with her in the next book. Arjun is one of my favorite characters because I loved how he puts himself out there and he tries to do everything that he can to save Kalki, even though he knows that he is not as strong as his brother. Bala, Lakshmi, and Ratri were okay, they were nice supporting characters, but they really did not have a memorable impact on me like how Arjun, Durukti, and all these other people did. I'm also very interested in reading about Simran, Manasa, and Urvashi in the sequel to the story because I think they will have a major plot in the second book. And speaking of the sequel, the way this book ended was just so amazing. I'm sure the author must be a fan of Game of Thrones because there are so many pivotal characters that are just killed off left and right where you don't even see it coming, that it completely threw me off. I totally love this because I thought it stepped away from the norm of the regular Tripathi or other authors in this genre that you might read about, where it's usually there are not that many characters who get killed in their novels. So I thought this was very interesting how some of the major characters are killed off because it brought that shocking element to the plot, which I did not expect. But overall, I loved reading this book, and just in my opinion, because I faced this, I feel like this is one of those books where you have to patiently sit through the first few chapters because it is very confusing. But the more time you invest in reading this book, the more you start to enjoy it. Kevin Missal has become one of my favorite authors after reading this book, and I cannot wait to pick up the other books in the series and complete reading it as well. I loved Dharmayoddha Kalki, and I would give it a rating of 4 out of 5 stars. Now, the only reason, actually, there are 3 reasons why I have not given this a 5 out of 5 stars is because one, there was a lot of grammatical errors when I was reading this book, which I don't blame it on the author. I blame it more on the publishing company because I feel like they should have done a better job of proofreading this book before publishing it. Two, I really did not like some of the scenes and dialogues in the story because I did not think it blended well with the timeline. I mean, yes, I understand it's written for younger generation readers, but there are just some scenes in this book which I really did not like, which I did not think blended well, like when Vasuki comes out of his room and he's just slept with this Apsara and he's checking out her assets and complimenting on it. And just some of the dialogues that they use, like, hey dude, and yo bro, and I just thought, okay, you can appeal to the younger audience, but you really don't have to go in such a weird way of communicating it. And thirdly, is because, yeah, again, I thought the book could have started off better because, like I said, this is the third time I'm picking up this book and I had to force myself to get past the first few pages to read it. Anyway, that is my review for this book. And if you actually enjoy reading books of this genre or enjoy reading books of Amish Tripathi, the Shiva trilogy, or the Ram trilogy, or Vineet Bajpai, or anything mythological, then you should definitely check out this book because it is really worth reading. If you enjoyed watching this video, then please do like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, bye.